It started with a chilling 911 call. A young nursing student in Alabama, Carlee Russell, vanished after reportedly seeing a toddler wandering alone on the highway. Within minutes, her car was found, still running, her belongings scattered. What followed gripped the entire nation: a desperate search, a worried community, and a media firestorm. But 49 hours later, Carlee walked back home, alone, safe, and with a story that left everyone scratching their heads. What really happened during those 2 days? Was she kidnapped? Or was the whole thing an elaborate hoax? This is the story of Carlee Russell, a case that had America's full attention and then shattered public trust in an instant. Carlee Russell was a 25-year-old nursing student living in Hoover, Alabama. By all accounts, she was smart, responsible, and had a bright future. She worked at a local spa and was studying to become a nurse, a profession rooted in care and trust. Those who knew her described her as sweet, quiet, and focused. But on the night of July 13, 2023, everything changed. Around 9:30 p.m., Carlee called 911 from I-459 South. She claimed she had seen a toddler walking alone on the highway wearing nothing but a diaper. It was an unusual and terrifying situation. After hanging up, she called her brother's girlfriend and told her the same story, and then, mid-conversation, the line went silent. When police arrived, they found Carlee's car, her wig, purse, and Apple Watch all left behind, but no sign of Carlee or the toddler. The disappearance sent shockwaves across the country. A young black woman vanishing after reporting a child in danger? It hit every emotional nerve. The Hoover Police Department quickly mobilized search parties. Volunteers combed the surrounding woods. Drones were deployed. Traffic cameras were scoured for footage. Social media exploded with hashtags. #FindCarlee, #Carlee Russell, calls for justice, prayers for her safety, and outrage over the lack of progress. Celebrities, influencers, and even major news outlets joined in. The case echoed high-profile disappearances from the past, including Gabby Petito's, but this time, many emphasized how Carlee, as a black woman, deserved just as much coverage. Then, just 49 hours later, Carlee came home. She appeared at her family's front door on the evening of July 15th, shocking everyone. According to her family, she had escaped from her kidnappers and walked home. Her mother called the police. Carlee was taken to the hospital and treated for minor injuries. But the story she told raised eyebrows. Carlee claimed she was kidnapped by a man who came out of the woods, blindfolded her, and forced her into a car. She said she was held in a house, escaped once, but was caught again. Finally, she somehow managed to flee for good. But police quickly noticed something strange. Her story didn't line up. There were no signs of a toddler. No physical evidence of a kidnapping. And worse, they discovered some disturbing internet searches from her phone. Police obtained Carlee's phone records, and what they found painted a very different picture. In the days leading up to her disappearance, Carlee searched. Do you have to pay for an Amber Alert? How to take money from a register without being caught? One-way bus ticket to Nashville. And even information about the 2008 movie Taken, which is about a kidnapping. Even more damning, surveillance footage showed Carlee walking alone before reappearing at home. No signs of distress, injury, or urgency. She was carrying snacks she had purchased just before vanishing. The Hoover Police Department later stated there was no evidence of a toddler, no abduction, and no crime. On July 24th, Carlee Russell's attorney released a statement. She admitted the entire abduction was a hoax. There was no toddler, no kidnapping. She had not been taken or held against her will. Her motive? Still unclear. Some speculated it was a cry for attention, a mental health crisis, or something deeper. But the damage had been done. The public felt betrayed. The story had consumed national attention, wasted law enforcement resources, and triggered emotional reactions across the board. Many were furious, especially because real cases of missing people, especially women of color, often don't receive the same attention. Carlee's actions threatened to undermine that progress. Once Carlee's confession went public, social media turned on her, fast and hard. Hashtags that once called for her safe return were now flooded with anger. Memes, think pieces, and viral tweets accused her of damaging the credibility of real missing persons cases. Community leaders, including advocates for black women, expressed deep disappointment. They had rallied behind her, demanding equal media treatment for missing black women, and many felt her lie had set that fight back. People felt manipulated, emotionally invested in a story that turned out to be fiction. And worse, it made the public more skeptical of future victims who might truly be in danger. But this wasn't just a matter of public embarrassment. Carlee Russell faced real legal consequences. In October 2023, she was found guilty on 2 misdemeanor charges: false reporting to law enforcement and falsely reporting an incident. The judge sentenced her to 1 year in jail, $17,874 in restitution, and community service. Though her lawyer tried to appeal and requested probation instead, the court made a statement. Hoax abductions like this are serious crimes that waste public resources, stir up panic, and can never be taken lightly. As the judge put it, this wasn't a mistake, it was intentional deception that sent shockwaves nationwide. The Hoover Police Department handled the case with remarkable patience and professionalism. From the moment Carlee disappeared, they took swift action, launching search teams, issuing public updates, and collaborating with multiple agencies. They never dismissed the case, even when things began to seem strange. But what truly won public trust was how transparently they handled the investigation afterward. Instead of protecting Carlee or downplaying the hoax, they released clear, evidence-backed updates, including the timeline, search history, and surveillance footage. In a time when law enforcement is often criticized, Hoover PD's open communication helped restore some faith in investigative integrity. Major news outlets had given Carlee's disappearance massive attention. And once the hoax came to light, they turned that spotlight back on her, but with a much harsher tone. Every network, from CNN to Fox, debated her motives. Talk shows questioned her mental health. Social media influencers dissected her behavior. Some argued that the media had amplified the story without verifying it enough. Others defended the coverage, saying it was right to treat her case seriously, because that's how all missing persons cases should be handled, regardless of race. Ultimately, the case became a lens through which America questioned its values, its biases, and its readiness to believe. While anger ran high, some experts urged compassion. They suggested Carlee may have been struggling with mental health, possibly depression, anxiety, or an emotional breakdown. The elaborate nature of the hoax, the misleading calls, and the risky behavior all pointed to someone in distress. However, her family has never publicly addressed her mental state. And Carlee herself has remained silent since the confession, avoiding interviews and public appearances. It left the public divided. Was she a villain, a victim of her own crisis, or both? Perhaps the biggest consequence of this case is the chilling effect it could have on real victims. Advocates now fear that future disappearances may be met with suspicion, especially if the victim is a young woman, or if the story sounds too dramatic. False reports like Carlee's don't just waste time. They make people second-guess real emergencies. They add fuel to cynicism. And they can literally cost lives if the public becomes hesitant to get involved. That's why so many were furious, not just at the lie, but at the ripple effect. Today, Carlee Russell has faded from public view. No interviews. No apologies. Just silence. She may never regain the public's trust. Her reputation, career, and future are forever stained by one decision. And while the legal consequences were relatively light, 1 year in jail, the real punishment may be the shame she'll carry for life. Still, her case serves as a strange cautionary tale. In an age of instant virality and emotional headlines, Carlee Russell's hoax became a powerful reminder: truth matters, and lies have lasting impact. The Carlee Russell case shocked America, not because a woman disappeared, but because the disappearance was a lie. It reminded us how fragile trust can be, how fast a narrative can spiral, and how damaging it is when truth gets buried under drama. Let this story be a warning to never fake a cry for help, because someday, someone crying for real might not get heard. In the heart of Hoover, Alabama, where the town once united in collective fear and hope for Carlee's return, a heavy silence followed the confession. Candlelight vigils turned to murmurs of betrayal. People who had cried for her, prayed for her, and searched the woods felt humiliated. Volunteers who took off work to help scour highways for clues now looked back with disbelief. Their compassion had been exploited, and that hurt more than anything else. Community members began questioning everything. Why did she do it? Was it a cry for help? Was it a test of love or attention? No matter the theory, the emotional investment of thousands now felt stolen. For days, America had believed in Carlee, the brave woman who risked her life to save a toddler and got kidnapped in the process. It was a story that fit every news cycle perfectly. But the truth shattered that fantasy. There was no toddler, no kidnapper, no dramatic escape. It raised uncomfortable questions about how easily people, and the media, buy into certain narratives. Would a young black woman's story have been given this much attention if it hadn't included such dramatic elements? In many ways, Carlee created a fictional victim and became it herself. But the pain that followed was all too real. For activists who had long fought for equal media attention for missing black women, Carlee's case was heartbreaking. Not just because she lied, but because her lie could make it harder for real victims to get help in the future. Campaigns like #FindCarlee had gone viral, finally shining a spotlight where it's often missing. Now, critics weaponized her hoax to claim that these cases aren't reliable. This wasn't just a scandal, it was a setback. And it forced the advocacy world to reevaluate how cases are vetted and how support can be given without blind trust. Mental health experts began dissecting the case publicly. Many pointed out that fabricating such a detailed hoax is rarely done for no reason. Some believed Carlee may have experienced a dissociative episode, while others suggested personality disorders or emotional trauma. But without an official psychological evaluation, and with Carlee refusing all interviews, these remained only theories. What was clear, however, was that something deeper was broken inside her. This wasn't just a selfish prank. It was a complex cry for something: attention, escape, validation, or perhaps even help. The hoax cost more than just trust. It drained valuable public resources. Police, fire departments, EMTs, K-9 units, helicopters, and search and rescue teams, all mobilized at great expense. Emergency lines were tied up. Officers were pulled off other duties. Real emergencies may have gone unanswered because of it. This is why false reporting is a criminal offense. When someone lies, it endangers lives, wastes taxpayer money, and damages the public's willingness to believe the next real victim. Carlee's lie didn't just hurt feelings. It could have cost lives. Even after she serves her sentence, Carlee Russell will never escape this story. Every Google search, every news headline, every YouTube video, her name will always be linked to one word: hoax. In today's world, reputations live online forever. That's the double-edged sword of virality. One moment, you're trending for sympathy. The next, you're trending for shame. Carlee's face became a symbol of hope, then a symbol of deception. And no matter how quietly she lives the rest of her life, that digital scar will never fully fade. The case left America divided. Some still express sympathy, believing Carlee needs psychological care, not jail. Others want harsher punishment to deter future hoaxes. One thing is certain: her story exposed a vulnerability in our system, in how quickly we believe, how passionately we mobilize, and how devastating it is when that trust is broken. It also forced everyone, media, police, public, to reflect on how we treat missing persons. Do we only care when the story is dramatic enough? Do we validate pain only when it's media-worthy? Carlee Russell gave America more than a headline. She gave it a hard truth. In the end, Carlee Russell's name won't be remembered for bravery. It will be remembered as a warning. A warning about the power of narrative, about the danger of fabricating trauma, and about how one lie can undo the work of hundreds of people fighting for real victims. She had the whole world's attention, and wasted it. Let her story serve as a reminder: not all cries for help are honest, but every false one risks silencing those who are truly in danger. White heavy checkmark if you found this case thought-provoking, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more real-life mysteries and cautionary tales. And remember, we don't tell these stories to shame, we tell them to make sure the next real voice isn't ignored. It started with a chilling 911 call. A young nursing student in Alabama, Carlee Russell, vanished after reportedly seeing a toddler wandering alone on the highway. Within minutes, her car was found, still running, her belongings scattered. What followed gripped the entire nation: a desperate search, a worried community, and a media firestorm. But 49 hours later, Carlee walked back home, alone, safe, and with a story that left everyone scratching their heads. What really happened during those 2 days? Was she kidnapped? Or was the whole thing an elaborate hoax? This is the story of Carlee Russell, a case that had America's full attention and then shattered public trust in an instant. Carlee Russell was a 25-year-old nursing student living in Hoover, Alabama. By all accounts, she was smart, responsible, and had a bright future. She worked at a local spa and was studying to become a nurse, a profession rooted in care and trust. Those who knew her described her as sweet, quiet, and focused. But on the night of July 13, 2023, everything changed. Around 9:30 p.m., Carlee called 911 from I-459 South. She claimed she had seen a toddler walking alone on the highway wearing nothing but a diaper. It was an unusual and terrifying situation.